Motorcycle accidents are terrifying experiences. You're hurt, and you need someone on your side who understands. Call the Advocates. They have over 20 years experience with accident cases and have recovered settlements for hundreds of other motorcyclists. They can handle the medical bills and deal with the insurance company so you can focus on recovering and getting back on your bike. The Advocates are my motorcycle attorneys.
You deserve clear, risk-free advice to help get you back on your feet. You deserve an advocate.
This is the Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find the Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Hey, the Monty Show live on your YouTube machine. Good Monday, August 26, 2024. Monty and the Mouth Breather, always presented by the Advocates. TheAdvocates.com. Boy, feeling a little weakness in the throat there, Jake.
Monty and the Mouth Breather.
Yeah. Jesse sent me DMs the other day saying, somebody needs to tell Jake to stop breathing. Okay.
All right, I'll unalive myself. Thanks.
Yeah, stop breathing. If you stop breathing, call the Advocates at theadvocates.com. The best injury attorneys in the business, and I tell you all the time, every weekend it seems like in Utah, people get worse at driving. And I don't know how it's possible. But my friends, if you are rolling around any of these here United States and you get into a wreck with a big rig, which after this weekend, I have no doubt happens every day in this country, make sure you get to theadvocates.com where you can chat with an injury attorney live online for free at theadvocates.com. Make sure you tell them you heard about it on the Monty Show. Without further ado, a lot to get to today. I think obviously the Florida State loss is a big deal. I think Nick Saban talking about how smart, intelligent, and good-looking I am is a very big deal. Deion Sanders banning media members from speaking to him is not a big deal. I mean, there's just a lot going on, and I think this UConn story, I think people get excited about it. I don't think UConn joining the Big 12 is a game changer in the grand scheme of things. And I know that that's crazy. And here's why I say that. And I don't say it to be obtuse or just difficult. I think when you look at UConn clearly is a basketball powerhouse. But again, I tell you, as we've told you for over a year on this show, if UConn joins the Big 12, you will be subsidizing their football program. And I think if you look at the latest, headlines out of UConn in the Big 12 from Ross Dellinger and the guys at Yahoo Sports, I mean, it is very clear that Big 12 athletic directors want nothing to do with UConn football. Now, if you don't know the story, UConn allegedly went to Dallas last week and met with Big 12 executives and athletic directors in an effort to, clarify their position. And from what I am told, a lot of that conversation centered around how serious UConn is about winning football games. And it left half of this league, wholly half of the Big 12, unimpressed with what UConn was willing to do to win football games. And at the end of the day, again, I do believe that UConn and Gonzaga end up in the Big 12. I think that is inevitable. But at what financial level will UConn, specifically UConn, end up in the Big 12? Because I look at how bad their football program has been in that they just don't win games. They are rarely bowl eligible. They almost never win 8 games in a season. They do not have an on-campus football stadium. And it is without question now that we know, according to Ross Dellinger, who's confirmed what we've, again, talked about with you for a year, that Big 12 athletic directors want nothing to do with UConn football, to the point where they would have UConn join the Big 12 in every sport except football until 2031 when football could potentially be added to the Big 12. What that tells me and what that should tell everybody else is the Big 12 wants nothing to do with UConn football. This is a basketball power grab, to be sure, which is in alignment with what we've said on this show, that Brett Yormark values the business and the revenue of college basketball just as much as he values the business and the revenue of college football. And let's be very clear. College football makes every other sport, including college basketball, possible. The Big 12 is already the premier basketball brand in the country. There's no question about that. It is the best league. I think it has the best game on the court. And if you add UConn men's and women's to that equation, it's just the cherry on top. But the biggest question is, what is UConn willing to do to get into the Big 12? Lock, stock, and barrel, football included by 2031. What is UConn willing to do with their football program, and how much money are they willing to invest in infrastructure, in student athlete support, which I'm told is a big part of this conversation? How much money UConn is willing to put into supporting college football players to the level where they can compete with the other national brands? Jake, I think that's the biggest issue because, plain and simply put, UConn's not a football school.
Yeah, and I don't think the Big 12 can absorb another, mediocre football brand. I think that the Big 12's, biggest plight in football right now is that they don't have enough, nationally relevant football brands. So for the conference right now, it doesn't make a lot of sense to add yet another brand that is subpar, to be nice about it. And I think that obviously UConn is valuable in basketball. Obviously, the basketball synergy is there, but this issue of not having a stadium on campus, this issue of taxpayers in that state not being willing to fund that type of project, the fact that UConn as a school has always been basketball, a little bit of hockey, but football's never really been a big deal at UConn. And if you read the interwebs and you look at what people around the UConn program are saying, they'll tell you that back in the day UConn football was relevant and we did some things back in the day. But unfortunately, as I always say, back in the day doesn't really matter anymore. Like it only matters in the sense of, hey, we're a legacy program that's been winning now and back in the day. But you can't say, hey, we haven't won in however long, but yeah, we did back in the day. That doesn't really work anymore in today's climate. So I think it makes perfect sense that ADs and executives in the Big 12 would not be so excited to add UConn football. And I'm curious if, leadership in the Big 12 is fine with this move, pushing off football to 2031 because of the Super League conversation, the expansion of the tournament that is inevitably going to come. Like, obviously, this would be a money move for the Big 12 if they were to do it. And those are the things that I think, are huge factors in it.
Well, and I think you go back and you look at a couple of things here that, again, we've talked about on this show many times. UConn's not going to leave the Big East unless they can take all of their sports with them. I think that is a conversation that we've been having for a very long time. I think, as we've told you, UConn is desperate to get out of the Big East. I think they recognize the money that they're leaving on the table by not being in a P4 conference, I think is overwhelming to them. It would by far offset their expenditures on football. And it is going to, they're probably going to have to double their spend in football to get their entry into the Big 12. And there's just no question anymore that UConn is going to leave the Big East. It's simply a matter of when and to where. I think if you look at the landscape, there's only one place they can go. Because of the instability and the unknown future of the ACC, it's crippled their ability to have conversations about expansion. So you look at the Big 12. The Big 12 is the only place that UConn can go. One, I think they really like the Big 12. I think they know that they are a good fit basketball wise, and culturally they're a really good fit. Probably from a basketball culture standpoint, their best fit is the Big 12. Now, if we were talking about academics, different conversation. But from a basketball standpoint, which is what UConn really cares about, the Big 12 is their best fit. There is no doubt. And they are, it has been, and I think I've said this on the show, it's been reiterated to me multiple times that UConn is desperate to get out of the Big East. And it makes total sense. They are, I think, hemorrhaging money in basketball because of the money they are not making. And I love to tell people, and if you don't live by this, I think you're crazy. It's not about how much money you're taking home now. It's how much money you're not making. Think about the money you are not making because you are currently in the Big East. It's a lot of money. And I think when you look at UConn, is the Big 12 ideal from a logistics standpoint? No, it certainly is not. I mean, you're 500 miles away from your nearest Big 12 member in, I guess, what would be West Virginia. You look at the travel, it would be rigorous. There is no question that being in the Northeast and having to travel to the heartland is not ideal. Having to travel down the East Coast to Florida is not ideal. Having to travel to places like BYU and Utah is not ideal. But the money, I think, far outweighs your travel circumstances. I think if you can invest in football in 2031, which is what Yahoo Sports is reporting, which coincidentally is when that new TV deal is up.
Yep.
I think that makes it worth it. I think giving UConn a full share before 2031 is financially not viable, which is why I think you would see UConn join the Big 12, not as a full share member, not as a football member. And I think you're going to have a small, and what's the right way to describe this? You're going to have a small window in time if you're UConn, where you are going to be able to prove that your football program belongs in a P4 conference. Because I think there's also some belief, as it's been described to me, that UConn may not play football into the future. They're going to have to demonstrate their ability to play football at a high level. And if they are not able to do that, their football program is not going to get into the Big 12. And if their football program doesn't get into the Big 12, I don't believe they play football at UConn anymore.
Well, and I think the willingness to spend that kind of money, I mean, you talk about, probably having to double your spend just on football alone to be in the Big 12. I mean, that's a lot of money, man. I mean, that's not anything to play with. And I think that, when you look at this proposition for UConn, that travel piece you were just talking about, it's almost like people don't, and when I say people, like institutions, leadership at institutions don't even necessarily care as much about the travel. I mean, you look at the Stanford situation being in the ACC, you look at, just generally speaking, like the Big Ten situation, like we're seeing this become more and more of a thing where schools are willing to travel seemingly across the country.
You build in infrastructure.
Yeah, but I mean, there's still, like, for
as
UConn,
simple as that.
For UConn though, that's still a ton of extra costs. Like for Oregon can stomach that kind of travel. Stanford can stomach that kind of travel from a financial standpoint. These schools that either have endowments or are making a ton of money, like they can make that
But
work.
Isn't that the game we're playing now, though?
Yeah, it is.
The cost of college football. I don't think people consider what the logistics of traveling a football team are. Have you thought about just the equipment?
Look at the Florida State thing over the weekend. Going to Ireland.
But just think about the equipment alone. You understand most programs do not fly their equipment. Most major, you look at BYU is notorious for this. They track their equipment truck across the country as it goes to different spots. On their social media, you can track where the truck is. It's becoming a thing because you can't afford to fly that freight. So you have an entire part of your football operation dedicated to the logistics of traveling your equipment. That is the behemoth that is college football. How many people think about that? Not many people think about that. Do you think they have that same problem with college basketball? They don't. They do not have that same problem because you're not traveling pads and helmets. You're not traveling the massive amount of staff. You're not traveling the massive amount of humanity that 100-something football players plus your staff, plus the infrastructure staff, things like education, tutors, trainers, physios. Think about the massive amount of humanity that travels with a football team. That doesn't happen in basketball. So when we talk about the cost, and I think we throw cost out there without really thinking about what that is. So when we go to something like, I don't know, $10 million a year to pay off an NIL settlement, do you really want Fresno State playing Power 4 football? Do you really want San Diego State playing Power 4 football? UNLV playing Power 4 football? Boise State playing Power 4 football? The logistics and the cost of that, it's not just paying players, friends. There is so much money that goes into traveling a football team. And when you look at UConn, to your point, what's the cost of traveling your football team to Utah? Less than ideal. Less than ideal.
Mm-hmm.
Would it make sense from a football perspective to be in the Big Ten versus yeah, sure it would. In the SEC? Sure it would. In the ACC? Sure it would. Well, unless you don't give a rat's ass about your football program and you're trying to make more money in basketball.
Yeah, and that's all this is about. And I think your point about them potentially not playing football long term, I think is spot on, because if you're UConn, listen, if you're UConn or anyone in UConn's position moving forward, all you're trying to do is get into the power conference. That's what needs to happen so you can up your revenue and you can grow. That's their biggest struggle. You look at the situation, again, they're not going to get some windfall from taxpayers to build this big-ass new stadium on campus when football hasn't been relevant in how long? No one's going to do that. And so that's their challenge. And that's why as soon as I saw the football 2031 situation as part of this opportunity, it makes perfect sense. And the only question that remains is how much winning can UConn do in the Big 12? Obviously, that men's and women's basketball program is phenomenal. Every year, they're phenomenal. So if they can continue that success, they should theoretically be fine. But again, getting in is the biggest challenge.
Yeah, I think it is. UConn to the Big 12 is playing out exactly as we thought it was. I mean, I'm a little surprised it's all sports. I would have, if you said, hey, man, you got to put a ducket on how they enter, I'd have thought it would have been basketball only. But now I think it makes logistical sense for the Big 12 to leave out UConn football, because it solves all of their financial trouble. And I think it is going to be very interesting to watch how much money and how much infrastructure is UConn willing to put into their football program to get there. I mean, how many of us would be surprised if they dropped football as a sport?
I wouldn't be. I mean, it makes sense. Why? Furthermore, why would you continue to keep pouring money into it because you're in that gray area, you're in no man's land where you have a football program, but you're not doing enough to climb and improve. Like at least at some of those G5 programs we all know and love, Boise State, San Diego State, Wyoming, at least they're doing everything that they can do. And it's just not quite good enough, to compete with the big boys.
But I also think what that makes me think is I one of the guys I was talking to yesterday about this UConn situation made a very good point. Is there a better basketball program right now than UConn?
No.
And they still don't have the juice to get it done. As good as UConn basketball men's and women's is, they don't have the juice to carry a dead-ass football program into a power conference. Let that sink in. You look at Georgia Tech this weekend. Georgia Tech's been dead for years. Can you ever imagine UConn going to Dublin and beating Florida State in football?
No.
You can't even fathom it, because they don't even win 6 or 8 games on a regular basis. That's how weak their football program is, that the best basketball program in the country can't get into a power conference unless they leave football off the docket for what is this? 6 years? That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's craziness to me. It tells you how far ahead football is on the level of importance to basketball.
Yeah, I mean, it's the lifeblood of athletic departments, and until that changes, you're not going to get anywhere quickly being a basketball first, unless you're doing what a school like Gonzaga is doing, let's say, where football is not even part of the conversation. You're just all basketball, and obviously they have other sports too, but from a revenue generating standpoint, basketball is your bank, and that's what you're doing. And again, I can't emphasize this enough, in my opinion, in terms of the Big 12. You're not going to add yet another, just subpar, irrelevant football program to a conference that's already struggling to stay relevant in football. I mean, honestly, like again, we're going to get a 12-team playoff this year, and the Big 12 is going to struggle to get 2 teams in. That's what we're talking about right now.
Yeah. And I would like to point out one thing that I thought was very interesting. I didn't even realize this. Do you guys understand that they, until 2022, that's the last bowl they went to, 2022, they hadn't been to a bowl in back-to-back years since 2009 and 2010.
Right.
They went from 2010 to 2015 when they got into the St. Petersburg Bowl. And then from 2015 until 2022 to their next bowl game, which was the Myrtle Beach Bowl. And they're 4-3, or 3-4, excuse me, 3 losses, 4 wins in their 7 all-time bowl games.
It's terrible. I mean, it's just not. It's not.
It's ineptitude.
Yeah.
They haven't won a conference championship at UConn since 2010 in the Big East. That's incredible to me. Just looking at their stadium situation. I mean, it is the Pratt & Whitney Stadium at Rentschler Field. I said Rentschler Pratt & Whitney.
Hey, did they have an upper deck at that stadium?
I don't know. James needs to get in here and design a new, club seating and S&M and stuff.
Right.
Because it's the Burton family football complex and shit.
Yeah.
I think this is very well done, again, by Brett Yormark and the Big 12. I think it's exactly what they should be doing, because I think all of us agree the Big 12 is never going to be the best football conference in the country. It's not going to happen. At least not in probably my lifetime. I know I'm fat and I'm 50 and I'm going to die soon as a Mormon. But, in all seriousness, I can't imagine a time where the Big 12 is the best football conference in the country. And maybe, hey, look, maybe Utah does come in and become the brand in this conference. Maybe Joey McGuire saves his own ass and they win 12 games this year. I doubt it. But my point is, this is the best basketball conference in the country. And if you put UConn men's and women's in there, I mean, it's almost not a conversation.
Well, and I think, for the Big 12 this year in current times, dude, Florida State losing over the weekend is a massive opportunity for your conference. If
unbelievable,
dude, if the Big 12's unable to take advantage of that loss by Florida State this year and get, another team in, I don't know what else you could ask for.
All right, let's get your comments before we get to that Florida State loss. As always, the comment section brought to you by our good friends at Prize Picks. Boy, did I have a day yesterday. I put $1 million up on Prize Picks. That's a lie. I did not put $1 million up on Prize Picks. I will just continue to wax poetic about my guy, Aaron Judge. What did I tell you? If you're going to play Prize Picks baseball and you don't take Aaron Judge,
You're an idiot.
You're an idiot. His number yesterday was half a home run, but that wasn't good enough for me. I wanted to play a demon, which means you win more money.
A demon.
I took 1.5 because it was the Rockies. Okay, let's get this clear. And some asshole named Gomber.
Yeah.
So I went with the demon 1.5. And what did Aaron Judge do yesterday? Anybody wanna guess? What Aaron Judge hit 2 bombs yesterday. He's got 51. He came through for me. Now, speaking of half an asshole, how about the Chicago Cubs yesterday? Did anybody see what the Cubs did yesterday? Yeah, they lost 7-2 yesterday. But I would like to point out that my guy Ian Happ.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 runs, hits, and RBIs was the number. He had 4 yesterday. 3 hits and an RBI. Came through for me. And then of course, what I always tell you is the WNBA. I would like to apologize to you guys. I did bet the WNBA yesterday.
Yeah.
And
casual.
While it did take inches off my member, I would like to thank Angel Reese
For 800 rebounds yesterday.
The number was 20.5 rebounds.
Yeah.
She got 22. Pimp's going pimp.
Yay!
Man. Pimp's going pimp. $79 I won.
Okay. Do you think she was stat padding? Because she got accused of that.
Yes, absolutely. And I was here for it yesterday. Yes, I bet the WNBA, and I'm not going to apologize. Prize Picks, prizepicks.com. Use the promo code Monty to get $50 when you deposit $5. Open a new account at Prize Picks. Use the promo code Monty. They'll give you $50.
Well, Monty, is this real or is this fake?
You put in $5. Prize Picks is going to give you $50. It is as simple as that. It is fantastic. It is the best daily fantasy promotion I've ever seen. And Prize Picks is so easy. Again, Angel Reese, she's on this streak of 20 rebounds. So they put the number at 20.5. Is she going to have more or less than 20.5 rebounds? So if she's only going to have 20, you're going to take less. If you think, such as in like myself, that she's going to surpass 21 rebounds, you take more.
Did you feel good about that when you made the pick?
No, because I hate Angel Reese. I do.
But you still made the pick.
I still put ducats on the WNBA, which is amazing. So lost thanks to DJ Uiagalelei sucks on Saturday, but made good on Sunday.
Nice.
So everything is good. Life is good in Prize Picks. It's so easy to win. All you have to do, download the Prize Picks app. Use the promo code Monty. The link is in the description on our YouTube channel below. You deposit $5. They give you 50 more. Use the promo code Monty. All right, let's see. Who's in this morning talking Big 12 expansion with UConn. Mike Smith, UConn talks heating up, basketball only with a chance for football later. Well, it's not basketball only. I think a lot of people have that. It is all sports with the exclusion of football. You exclude football until at least 2031. The real Pete Forte, hello. I'm going with more on Prize Picks for the number of FSU lawsuits. Exactly. San Diego State, Glenn, Florida State, hell to the no. Oh, good morning, folks. Hoping you're in better shape, Jake.
Yeah, doing better.
He's
doing
not.
better.
He's not. Dibs, how are you? Mikkel, call me Mike. Good morning, fellas. Got to love all those FSU fans saying they lost because of jet lag.
Oh, got it.
What about the other team jet lag?
Yeah.
But if I remember right, Georgia Tech is from the United States as well. Welcome to the nightmare. Matt Ritson, hello. Kay Sumbry. Good morning, Monty. Morning, Jake. Like button casuals.
Sunny.
Exactly right. Justin Bemis, LOL, Florida State. Exactly. Exactly right. Exactly right. That's crazy. The stats you read from the roster, FSU players have Georgia Tech players at each position by a lot and still got whooped.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to that game in a minute. Trust me when I say we will get to that game in a minute. Mike Smith. Word is, the deal is that UConn basketball would join in 2026. Football would not. The football would only join in the new Big 12 media deal if it met parameters.
Cashless.
Correct. Thanks for the update, Mike. UConn, without a doubt, has interest in the Big 12. You may not like it, but it's the truth. Anybody telling you that UConn isn't interested in the Big 12 doesn't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
UConn is desperate to get out of the Big East. Again, the money UConn is not making is staggering. And it's because they're in the Big East. And they recognize more tournament shares, more national exposure, more access. UConn's going to make more money because they're in Big 12 softball. They're in Big 12. Like, it's money across the board that they are going to realize. And they're going to have to prove their commitment to football. Or I think they will drop football. Honestly, I think they will drop football. Dade Messina. I'm not the biggest into basketball, but I know Kansas is good, UConn is good, and South Carolina women's team is good. Yeah, there you go. I didn't know. It is what it is. I thought Kansas was a badminton school.
Yeah.
You know. Seen one rumor, take it with a grain of salt.
Oh.
One of the parameters of the football join is a run of specific number of attendees at their game. What they have to do, UConn has to show that they can build a football program. Part of that is attendance. I don't think there's any doubt. But the bigger part of it is that they can recruit and they can schedule. There's a lot of questions about what non-conference scheduling will look like up into a Super League, because we're seeing that games like Florida State and Georgia Tech and Dublin are very meaningful TV games. And what you're gonna notice, as we've talked about with the TV contracts here, is that the networks want big non-conference games in week 0 and week 1. Because historically speaking, there have been some real dog numbers in September for TV. And I think TV has always done well in those kickoff classics, if you will. Does UConn have any pull there? They don't. But can they prove that they can build to that level? And I also think that they're going to. One of the bars has always been an on-campus stadium, and I just don't see any way they do that.
No way.
And one of the conversations that I know is happening there is, can they get a Mohegan Sun type partner on board to rebuild and improve the infrastructure of their facilities, stadium and practice, everything? Can they do that? Because one of the major reasons UConn has struggled to recruit and win is their facilities are subpar, strictly subpar. And nobody goes to UConn football games. So it's not one thing. It is a stew of ingredients that they're going to have to put together. And the biggest issue is it's hugely expensive to do. And I don't think UConn has the wherewithal for it.
Agreed completely.
I truly do not. Oak State James. Now, Oak State James, you guys.
Do we need the music for this?
Preston Stone's cock struggled over the weekend. I mean,
what's the explanation, dude?
James, were you upset that he got yanked and you weren't the one doing the yanking?
This is a family show.
I know SMU is going to be amazing, according to James, because they built an upper deck on the visitor side where they took out all the bench seating.
Macaque.
Anybody want to talk about it? If Preston Stone and the Heisman Trophy, and
right,
he's the best. He's the best quarterback in the country. And,
right.
James.
No duh.
Wow. I want Miami and Florida State to the Big 12. Well, you probably ought to get your boy Preston Stone going first.
Bro.
Having multiple teams in 2 states that are growing will guarantee the Big 12 survives. I think they ought to, more likely, an upper deck to block mountain views at Utah or both Miami and... Okay.
Thanks, James.
Good to see you, bud. Tell Preston we said hello. This is not about Dan Hurley. This is about UConn. Who's talking about Dan Hurley? They do not want to join the Big 12. They do want to join the Big 12. That's just the way it is. Yeah, I don't know where they're not going to. Do you guys understand that you're either in or you're not? You're either on the inside making money or you are in the G5. You can't dip a toe in the water. It doesn't work that way. And with the expansion of the NCAA tournament that's coming, I think one of the other things, speaking of week 0 created matchups, what do you think they're going to do with college basketball? I mean, you got to understand that they are going to match make in college basketball. You are going to, I've heard multiple times that there is a tournament of champions type setup coming to college basketball to start that, like the Maui Invitation to qualify for big tournaments like that. Great. You're a good pro. Go ahead. Those tournaments, I think, are going to suffer because you're going to see that the conference champions, the power conference champions, plus a UConn, they're going to play their own tournament in the preseason. And it's going to be a massive draw because you're going to have the best college basketball programs in the country. And it's probably, I would assume, and I haven't heard details on it, but I think you're probably going to get a 16-team preseason tournament of champions. That is a made-for-TV event that's going to be big dollars with a huge pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Because why else would you do it?
Why wouldn't you? Why would you not?
So this idea that you can, if you're San Diego State, well, I mean, they won the Mountain West, Monty. Okay, great. But you're not getting the benefit of the doubt that a UConn in the Big East is getting. Oh, wait, a UConn in the Big 12 is no longer a problem. Right? Because they're in a power conference now. So if you think that UConn wants to stay in the Big East or that they don't want to join the Big 12, you're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about.
Well, and I also think that there's a really different approach happening here too. Like when you look at UConn versus Florida State, right? I mean, obviously both of these schools want to get to a different place, and UConn it doesn't have the leverage that Florida State seemingly thought they had. And it's interesting when you're a basketball school trying to say that you'll invest in football and you're at some point going to fix that versus a football school that, has a basketball team. It's just two different situations.
But ultimately, is this not the problem with the ACC right now? I mean, you're so unstable and there's so much instability because of the Florida State Clemson lawsuits, because of hey, we didn't get into the college football playoff. Let's spend millions of dollars trying to find a way in. The problem is, and I don't know that ACC fans quite recognize this, UConn's more attractive than Florida State. Because what does UConn bring? UConn brings a ton of revenue in basketball. And even though they might as well not play football. But at least for the Big 12, UConn adds a value proposition in that their brand as a basketball powerhouse is a huge draw. You're buying tickets, you're turning on the TV, you're buying jerseys, men's and women's, because I know every time I say this on the show, people lose their minds. Women's sports matter. Women's sports matter. Women's college basketball matters. Women's softball matters. I'm telling you right now, you look at UConn, they're a more valuable brand, in my opinion, to the Big 12 than Florida State is currently today. It's as simple as it can be, because when you look at college basketball, let's say the Super League happens. Florida State's going to the Super League. In the Super League, the Big 12 doesn't matter. In college basketball, the Big 12 matters.
Yes.
Because conferences may go away for football. They're not going anywhere for everything but football. You're going to have the Big East, the Big 12, all those conferences, the AAC, the Mountain West, those conferences are staying. The P4 are staying, just not for football. So when you add UConn and Gonzaga in basketball, there's no reason not to do that today if you can figure out how not to supplement UConn football.
Totally agree, man. And yeah,
if you're UConn, you really want to join the shit show that is the ACC right now.
No, and I don't think that there's any type of safety or long-term viability there. I think you can't take that risk. I think, you need to get to a situation that's reliable, and you need to get to a situation where, you can create some of your own value, because that's the thing. Like, you're obviously coming in as a basketball member, and that's like your big ticket. That's your big piece of value. But then I think UConn and institutions like UConn have to make a decision. I mean, are you going to lose profitability for several years to build this football program up into something that makes you more money long term? Or are you not going to take that risk and just cut that out and be basketball only, and obviously have your other non-revenue generating sports?
I think it's interesting. I think the biggest, there's no doubt the ACC is damaged here.
Yes.
And until they resolve the Florida State Clemson situation and their long-term future, nobody is good. They're going to be a pariah for expansion. You're going to wind up with SMU and Stanford and Cal. Congratulations. That doesn't help you at all. That does not help you, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, after what we saw from SMU over the weekend, are we not sitting here saying that SMU is a bottom feeder team in the ACC? I mean, seriously.
I mean, you won a game. And the Preston Stone getting yanked and then coming back in and throwing a touchdown. I mean, it's a feel-good story, I guess. Perseverance.
They're going to have to show that they can compete against, I'm not even saying the best teams in the ACC. Show me what you can do against, mid-level Duke. Show me what you can do against, a 7-win team in the ACC. That's what I need to see from SMU before I'm going to sit here and say they're anything other than, a 3-win team in the ACC. If that.
Yeah. And so anyway,
yeah,
I think you just have to go back and understand what the future of college sports looks like. You have to have, in any way you slice it, if you're the Big 12, you have to have the best college basketball league in the country. It's not, you need that so desperately to survive. Your long-term viability, in my opinion, is tied to both football and basketball. Basketball, you have the preeminent league in the country now. So you have to strike while the iron's hot. So again, I just tell you, I don't see the Big 12 ever being the best basketball or the best football league in the country. I don't.
That's reserved for 2 leagues.
Because, and again, I know it's all ifs and ands and whens. When the Super League arrives, this is going to be a moot conversation. Because I think it's largely what will limit the options that Florida State currently has. Let's say they win their lawsuit and they find a way out of their agreement with the ACC. They're not, who's going to want to be in business with them? I think that's a real question. And how much leverage will Florida State have to join the SEC? Because you're not going to know what Greg Sankey really wants, because everybody believed that Greg Sankey was out on Florida State. You can't tell me if Florida State football calls the SEC and says, hey, we're free and clear, we want to join the league, that he's like, thanks, but no thanks, fuck off. He's not saying that to Florida State. There's no chance.
Yeah, I don't think it's that. I do think, though, that based on their behavior and everything that's happened, if you're the SEC, you want to add them, but you're going to try and keep them in.
You're going to push their revenue down.
Yeah,
you're going to push their revenue down.
Well, I think you're going to push their revenue down, and you're certainly going to, work with them on their schedule in the conference. Like, they're going to play a tough schedule.
Yeah, and I just don't see today, right now, that Florida State ever ends up in the Big 12. And I do not see today, right now, that they have more value. Think about the value proposition in 5 years. Because immediately right out of the gate, you're not going to get change. Florida State wouldn't be able to leave the ACC, my guess is, for 2 more years. Even if they won a lawsuit, where are they going to go in the immediate near term? They're not going anywhere, right? Because you're going to give notice and play 1 more season in the ACC.
Right.
That's the likely outcome. That's this year. That's next year. Now we're talking about, what would that be? 2024, 25, 26, 27. We're talking about 27, 28. So by that time, I mean, hell, in 6 minutes, we might get an update on the Super League.
Yeah.
You might as well be talking about 100 years into the future at that point.
Well, in Florida State's still going to say, hey, well, okay, if we're getting into the Super League, what is our basketball money looking like? Like, I just think Florida State's a problem child. They're always going to look at their situation, and I don't disagree with your take that, hey, it's always about the money you're not making. But I do think that on some level in college athletics, you have to at least, have a foundation and appreciation for, hey, this is where we are. It's very reliable. Yes. Is there more money? Is there a higher level? Yes. But we have to try to get to that level in a more respectable, fashion. This whole idea of like, hey, we're just going to sue our way to the top. It doesn't work. Because
it's never worked.
Yeah. And I think the problem is, for Florida State, you're a really good football program. Like, you're valuable, like you're in the conversation most years. The problem is that you're not on that top tier yet. You're very clearly in the second cut. So you don't wield that power of like, hey, we're Georgia, we want out, or we're this school, we want out. We're going to make that happen. Like, you don't have that kind of power right now. And until that changes, you're not going to get your way.
Yeah, I don't ever see the Big 12 being a power football conference. I think they're a 2-team league. And at least for the next 2 years, they're a 2-team league. Unless somebody emerges, and again, the Techs, the TCUs, I think you are, as long as Kyle Whittingham's the head coach, Utah's going to be a power program. Again, I love what they've built in the state of Kansas. Both those programs are contenders. But there's not a true blue blood team in this league that's in every single year. I think they're a 2-team league. I think this is a basketball league. And I think that UConn, it's a no-brainer to add them with everything but football. It addresses all of the issues. It's all of those solutions. So we'll see. I think the Florida State loss to Georgia Tech, How? I'll tell you how. DJ Uiagalelei is the same guy he was at Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at the stylistic difference between Pac-12 football and how fast and how quick release it is. And then you're asking DJ Uiagalelei, and I understand he didn't have a lot of time and space, but you're asking him to win a football game by throwing the deep ball, which he's never done well. And I agree. Having watched a good part of that game, you look at those throws that DJ Uiagalelei missed down the field, those were gimme touchdowns. Gimme touchdowns. Florida State wins that game by 17 points probably if he hits those 2 throws. But that's not who that guy's ever been. Now, that throw on the seam that was a rope right down the middle, that's his throw. But when you're asking DJ Uiagalelei to use footwork and mechanics to throw a deep ball, give it some air, let your guy run under it, he's never been that guy. His footwork's never been good. He's still, in my opinion, and I know Florida State fans are probably going to lose their minds over it, he can't diagnose a defense. This is exactly what worried me, and I think it is the brilliance of what they did at Oregon State. They had him be a 2-read guy. Is that guy open? If not, you're going here. And if not, run. That's it. He got rid of the football, or when he was struggling, you never heard about him going 0 for 7 straight throws because he turned around and handed the ball off.
Yes.
But what happens when you get dominated at the point of attack, especially on offense? It's not good. That stat about yards before contact, I think it is 0.3 yards before contact.
Yeah, I mean, they couldn't run the football. Obviously, DJ...
I said 0.3 yards before contact.
Yeah, I mean, that was the biggest thing that I saw outside of DJ. I mean, obviously, DJ is the big conversation piece because he's the quarterback, and, those throws were missed, and, yeah, everyone's talking about that. But for the bigger picture of the season, your offensive line is a problem. And I understand, hey, this program had a lot of turnover to the NFL. You maybe that offensive line was mitigated a bit because you had Keon Coleman, you had other guys making big plays last year and getting open, and you just weren't holding the ball nearly as long. And frankly, you had a better quarterback last year. Let's, give Jordan Travis credit. You had a better quarterback. And so when I look at Florida State, yeah, they should have won this game, but the problem is they just are not ready to execute in the moment, whether it's DJ, the offensive line, hell, even the linebackers. And number 9 on defense, I don't know what the hell he's doing at linebacker.
Their defense will be fine. Honestly, I'm telling you, trust me when I say Florida State's got their defensive line is a really good unit. They'll be fine. That offensive line and DJ Uiagalelei, it's a problem. Roydell Williams is a hell of a running back who had 0 time in space. I mean, how many times did he have a clean first step? I mean, they were in the backfield. Georgia Tech was in the backfield all game long.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely disrupting anything that the running game was trying to accomplish. What did they average? 3.2 yards a carry. How are you going to win when you average 3.2 and you give up 5.3? You're not winning the game. You're not. And the other thing that really worries me is DJ Uiagalelei sucks. This is a guy that he was at Clemson. How is that possible?
Facts.
That you are Jonathan Smith is a doer of witchcraft. I mean,
I think the question should be, how is it any different than why should we have expected DJ to be any different than he was at Clemson, given what we saw at Oregon State? Because you're exactly right? It's a two-read thing at Oregon State. Hey, this guy or that guy, and if not, then you're running. That type of quarterback play, that type of offensive system in college football does not lead you to winning big games. It does not lead you to getting deep in the postseason. And the reason for that is because you have to be able to diagnose the coverage and understand how to manipulate safeties. And if you can't do that as a quarterback, you're not going to hit the deep ball. And then we're talking about a guy who does not throw a good deep ball, just generally speaking. So when he came to Florida State, I remember us specifically talking about the fact that this guy hasn't been big play material at quarterback in his career. So the idea that he was going to go to Florida State and you were going to be on this redemption tour and he was going to do what you needed him to do was always going to be a bit of a stretch. Now, I'm not saying Mike Norvell can't develop this guy and get more out of DJ. I'm not saying that it's not impossible, but they clearly have a long way to go.
Yeah, I don't know. I look at the fact that he only averaged 15 throws a game at Oregon State. And the shocking number is that he's completed 57% of his passes. That's stunning. And I think you look at the 21-7 touchdown interception ratio. You understand how those plays were called. I think Florida State, they're going to have to carry him all season long. And it's going to be rough. And I look at their schedule now, and I say to myself, boy, BC, Memphis, and Cal, you'd better figure it out, because then when you got to go to SMU, they're in Dallas. It says it right across the front of their
Hey, you start
jersey.
talking shit.
And you have somebody with like Preston Stone, who is, wow, the best quarterback anybody's ever seen ever anywhere.
Stay hard.
I mean,
Man,
the guy is
just incredible.
I mean, my point is Florida State's in real trouble here. And the only way you fix this is you come out and you completely prove the naysayers wrong. And if you think that Boston College, Memphis, and Cal are going to be walks, I think you're crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Because Memphis and Cal played hard football. I don't know what you expect out of Boston College, probably not much. But it is shocking to me that you went and you lost, and the way you lost, getting dominated up front. If you're a Florida State fan, don't worry about the defense. I truly think that defensive line is special. I think they are, and maybe special strong at this point, but they've got talent up front on the defensive line. I don't know what the hell that was on offense.
Not good enough.
If you think DJ can stand back there without footwork and without touch and throw deep balls to win you games, I think you are in a world of hurt. And my question is, will Florida State make the college football playoff? Because nothing's lost. Let's get that straight right now. Nothing. The loss in Dublin sucks. But if you bounce back and you run the table and you are who you say you are, okay, great. You're going to the college football playoff.
Yeah.
Chances of that happening.
Yeah, slim and none. I don't buy it. I think that you grinded it out last year. You were right on the edge of it. Then obviously the injury happens with Jordan Travis, and that's that. I just don't. They're going to have to prove it every week, dude.
And I again tell you, I point to the game on November 9th. And I will just continue to tell you that fraud Marcus Freeman. I love my Irish, and I want to believe that this team is good. I want to believe this team's good. I do. And I think the defense is going to be unbelievable. I am not convinced that I don't believe that Notre Dame's better than Florida State offensively. Even after watching Florida State in Dublin. Hope I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just being a pessimistic Irish fan.
Right.
Riley Leonard's got to stay healthy. On a cake schedule, do you think Riley Leonard can stay healthy? Never having shown that he can. Is there any reason we should believe? Do you believe that Riley Leonard can stay healthy? I don't know. Yeah. Ask me Saturday night.
Yeah.
Ask me Saturday night. Because that's the game where we're going to find out. Is that if Notre Dame loses to Texas A&M, that Florida State game's meaningless. Because you will not go to the college football playoff.
Right. Yeah.
You do not have quality built into our schedule. our and we. Because after Texas A&M, it's Northern Illinois, Boiler Down, Miami of Ohio, Louisville, Stanford, Georgia Tech, Navy, then Florida State.
Right. So you got to win all those.
If you don't beat Texas A&M, is Louisville a quality enough win where you're like, well, at least they beat Louisville. Now we can get into the college football playoff?
No.
There's not. Now, maybe Georgia Tech finds a way to the top of the ACC for most of the season, and then that October 19th game has real meaning. Got to be great. But I'm terrified about what's going to happen Saturday evening on ABC.
Yeah, I mean, I think
against
it should
Texas
be.
A&M.
I think, again, we're in that part of the year where everyone's showing us who they are, and Riley Leonard better be good for it.
My ball's already ache. I'm just going to,
Notre Dame, our mother.
James, stadium guy who loves the Big 12, gives us $5 to say, I never said Preston Stone was the best ever. I believe you said he was on Alan Bowman's level, which we all know is, Tim Tebow.
Do you believe?
Peyton Manning and his ball sack on a trainer's face. Like, this is the kind of level that we know Alan Bowman is. And if Preston Stone is right there with Alan Bowman, I mean,
isn't that the best ever?
Don't we just assume when we hear Mike Gundy quarterback? I mean, the next words out of your mouth are best ever, right?
I'm a man.
I said he's really good. P.S. I might be taking a temporary spot in Arizona for 3 months. No Florida State in the playoff. Okay.
Are you doing some interviews in Arizona for the book, or what
Hanging out at Catholic churches throughout the Southwest?
Yeah. What's the deal?
Or are you just you're just going there to consult on their new grandstand they're building on the visitors side?
At a players program.
You know, Mike Smith gifted the Monty Show 5 members. James, listen,
I love you, bro.
Listen.
You're the best, dude.
I mean, I wake up in the morning, I piss excellence.
Alan Bowman, the best ever. Okay.
Whatever.
Ain't that the truth, awkward guy? Okay, comment. Okay. Temporary supervisor spot. Okay. Like that. Does anyone believe Georgia Tech is a top 10 team right now? No, probably not. Are they top?
The question is, how far is Florida State going to fall with this loss? Because a lot of people, as you said earlier in the show, are calling this jet lag and, it's just an overseas loss.
Excuses.
Yeah. They're just rolling out the excuse
train. And
train.
listen, if they come out and boat race themselves into a 5-1, 6-1, 7-1 record, what did that loss in Dublin really mean?
Yeah.
Not much. If Mike Norvell figures out that DJ Uiagalelei is a fraud and can't throw the ball deep, maybe they do get out to that.
Do you believe?
5, 6, 7-1. We'll see.
Yeah.
Only time will tell. You got to win games. Georgia Tech. I don't think that Georgia Tech is a top 10 team. I don't think anybody's calling them a top 10 team. Are they top 15? Yeah, I think they are. Who's got a bigger win?
Well, nobody.
Nobody yet. And, you look at Georgia Tech's got some Titans on their schedule, dude, including and we the beloved, the Dome. Georgia State this week on the ACC network. Syracuse, VMI, at Louisville, Duke, North Carolina. They're not going to lose another game, I think, until there's a chance they run the table until they get to Georgia.
What about Miami?
Well, that game's in Atlanta.
See, I look at the back half of that schedule where you've got Notre Dame, Vatech.
I think it starts with Louisville because I'm not writing off Louisville as a pass. I think Louisville is going to have a season.
Right.
Louisville will be their first real test after Florida State.
Right.
Louisville will be their first real test. That is September 21st in Louisville. Duke at North Carolina. North Carolina is going to have a step back this year. Notre Dame at Vatech, Miami, North Carolina State, and then at Georgia.
Yeah, there's no way they're running the table. That's 4 losses.
And I also think the Notre Dame game being at Mercedes-Benz is an advantage for Georgia Tech. So I think they're potentially they're not going to lose a game until Georgia. Because you can fake your way through a lot of things. You can't fake your way through beating Georgia. Not with that quarterback, not with that defense. We'll see. How good is it, to your point, Willie, how good is Georgia Tech? We're going to find out. Yeah. And we probably won't find anything out until September 21st because they're going to roll through Georgia State, Syracuse, and VMI. The one thing we do know about Georgia Tech is that's a physical football team. That's a physical football team. Mike Smith, Monty's a genius. Well, thanks. He trolls James knowing that James will do a super chat to refute a point. Look, the problem with that comment, Mike, is that it feels like you're just blowing off Preston Stone's member. And it is gigantic and beautiful.
A motherfucking,
I mean, you're just tossing it aside. Blow it anyway. Okay, let's move on, man.
Listen, we're in a strange time.
Glass City Buck says Florida State is a top 45 for show.
Yeah, man.
Bryce Martin. Hello, Bryce Martin. FSU is falling between 21 and 24. They'll be in the top 25. Has Florida State fan used the excuse Georgia Tech having Celtic designs on their helmets for the game? I mean, it absolutely is relevant. Dublin, FSU's chance of not making the college football playoff. Dublin.
See what he did there, like Dublin and doubling,
FSU is only winning 8-9 games with that O-line. I mean, the truth. I agree. I totally agree. The length and girth of Preston Stone reaches all the way to West Virginia.
Bro.
The cock.
Only James knows. Only James knows.
Dude.
What will be bigger loss? Florida State losing to Georgia Tech, or if Colorado loses to North Dakota State? Well, Deion banning reporters from speaking to him is not real bright.
When does this stop, man? When does this stop?
I'm
ready for the reporter issues with Deion to be over.
I don't know, but Deion is choosing violence.
Colorado, dude, all I'm going to say is you damn well better be bowl eligible. That's all I'm going to say. It better be 6-7 wins this year. That's all I'm going to say.
And then there is Michigan. Boy, we haven't had this easy of a show prep in a long time.
Sign Steeler guy.
Now, I know Michigan fan comes in and says, oh, it's all bullshit, money. You're making it up.
Yeah, it's fake news.
Back-to-back natties, bitch.
Nah.
Okay. So now that the actual notice of allegations have been dropped on Michigan, and now that we know that you have Sharon Moore labeled as a repeat offender, and that you have multiple level 1 violations lobbed by the NCAA at Michigan and staffers, and those staffers are all now allegedly, cooperating with the NCAA outside of Jimmy. There's nowhere to hide from this Connor Stallions scandal, because it is going to be a really difficult road ahead for the next several seasons for Michigan. I think there is no question about that. Sharon Moore himself is probably going to face significant penalties because he is a repeat offender. I think you are looking at a situation where, you deleted text messages, and the NCAA has essentially said it doesn't matter what was in the text messages. You deleted them in an effort to hide them. So you did not initially cooperate. Now Sharon is cooperating, has turned over those text messages. He is working with the NCAA. But what's amazing to me here is who's not working with the NCAA, who is not taking their medicine. Well, that'd be the University of Michigan. And it's a little surprising to me that the University of Michigan is going to continue to fight these Connor Stallions allegations, where you fired him and you're still disputing the facts. You have a coach that left you high and dry after you tried to make him the highest paid coach in the history of college football. And one of his demands was what? Shield me from any NCAA punishment. And you said no. And he left. And you're still fighting it. You're now heir apparent to Jimmy Cheatergate is Sharon Moore, who is admitting his involvement, cooperating with the NCAA, and you at the university level are still fighting it. And it's only going to make it more difficult. It is only going to drag it out, which I understand that is a defense strategy. Drag it out as long as you can. Drag it out. Okay, great. You're only hurting your program, because there is no doubt now that you got slapped in the face by the COVID dark period recruiting violations. Jim Harbaugh got a 4-year show cause and a year suspension. Your head coach. that you wanted to make the highest paid head coach in college football history. Captain America. He got a 4-year show cause and a year suspension. What do you think it's going to be when the integrity of the game is supposedly what they're arguing against you? There's no way for you to fight this. And I think it is a really bad look. A really bad look for Jim Harbaugh, for Sharon Moore, for Denard Robinson, for all of these coaches. But isn't this even a worse look for the University of Michigan?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know why you would continue to put yourself in this position. Why continue to defend the guy? Why continue to, I guess, be in denial about what happened? I mean, why not just take the punishment and move on from it? I don't know. Like, what are you hoping to get out of this? What are you hoping happens through this whole situation? Are you hoping that somehow this just goes away? Because it's not just going to go away. That's not how this works. So to me, I'm just as surprised as everybody. I think it's a terrible look for Michigan. I think that you're not getting away from it. And I don't know. There's only one way this finishes out, which is you getting punished, and that's just what it is. You're going to struggle, man. You're going to be on the struggle bus for probably 5 years at least. That's what we're talking about. So I just think you're making it more difficult than it needs to be. If you would just say, yes, this happened. This is what took place. What's the punishment going to be? We've seen this time and time again with the NCAA. If you admit what you did, your punishment's going to be less. If you fight, your punishment is going to be far worse. And obviously they're fighting. So I just don't understand it at all.
I think it's tactically a mistake. At this point, I would be trying to, if I were Michigan, I'd be trying to get this over with as soon as possible, because you're going to only make it worse, in my opinion. I think you're probably looking at a 2-year postseason ban. And I still maintain they're not going to vacate wins. They're not going to vacate a championship. They're going to prevent you from winning another one anytime soon. And if that was all you got, was a 2-year postseason ban, it would be, is crippling too strong of a word? Can't go to the postseason, can't compete for a championship, which ultimately means you can't recruit. You're going to have trouble making money. I mean, it's a devastating 2-year playoff ban is devastating.
Yeah.
But then you're probably going to face scholarship reductions, staff reductions. You probably are going to face recruiting restrictions where you can't off campus. You're limited to how many on campus visits. Like, that's what you're facing now. And if you continue to fight and you continue to use abrasive language, I think you're only making it worse.
Yep.
And I think Jim Harbaugh doesn't even matter what he gets, because he's never coaching in college again.
Yeah, I mean, he's not getting anything. He got over. They may, lay
what did
out
his
a bunch
attorney
of stuff.
say? Why does it matter? You're coaching in the NFL now.
Yeah, and so the only question for Jim is going to be, what's the NFL going to do about it? Because the NFL doesn't want to be seen as hey, pull a bunch of crap in college and then come to us for the rescue.
Come to us for a pay raise.
Yeah.
And again, Jim Tressel, Terrell Pryor, I think Jim Harbaugh will be punished by the NFL. And I think the NFL almost has no choice but to do that. So, plotting and methodical. This is when I talk about how flawed the discipline process is. So you delivered the notice of allegations. Now Michigan has 90 days to reply. 90. It's
a long time, man.
It's 3 months to reply. Why not 30 days to reply? It's wild to me. I understand you need time to get your stuff together. 30 days is more than enough. 30 days is more than enough. I think this is going to be really difficult for Michigan to overcome. And it's why I think this is one of the most important years in the history of Michigan football. Because a year from now, I think these penalties are doled out. I think Michigan has to find a way to get into the college football playoff this year. And I think that's going to be really tough to do.
Yeah.
I think it is Because you can't possibly expect a guy like Sharon Moore to perform at his best or at his highest with the way the game is being played. And again, I just go back to Michigan and I say, what were you thinking here with Jim Harbaugh? And I know it's crazy, and I know that a lot of people always ask me and tell me that I'm biased against Michigan, but I just ask you, Michigan, who are you? Where is your soul? Where is your soul? Because you gave it to Jim Harbaugh and he left you high and dry. Are you still that same university? Santa Ono, are you still that same administrator that sold out to the devil in Jim Harbaugh? That's the question that's got to be answered, because if you are a Michigan supporter, if you are somebody that lives for Saturday football, if you are somebody that goes to the big house and buys those tickets, is this the Michigan that you've supported? I have a hard time believing that it is. Are you proud to call yourself a Michigan fan when you are rooting for a university that wanted to make Jim Harbaugh the highest paid coach in the history of the game, and yet he left because you would not insulate him from NCAA penalties? Is that who you are? I don't believe that the average Michigan fan is like, yep, that's who we are. Damn right. Win at all cost. I don't think that that's what the integrity of the University of Michigan looks like. And Michigan now, in as much as I feel like it's utopic, and I am telling you right now, Michigan's got to show us who they really are. Are you still that institution of higher learning with a really high moral value? Because now I think all of us that are outside of your little maize and blue world, now we all see who you are. When you lift the maize and blue glasses, you get a real look at the fact that you tried to make Jim Harbaugh the highest paid coach in the history of the game after you knew the recruiting dark period violations, after you knew that he did not cooperate with the NCAA, after you knew he was not forthcoming and honest with the NCAA. And you still tried to make him the highest paid coach after the overwhelming preponderance of evidence that we broke the news on this show that during last fall, when the NCAA and the Big Ten were in communication, and the NCAA and the Big Ten were sharing information, that the evidence against Connor Stallions and the Michigan program was overwhelming. You still tried to make this guy the highest paid coach in the history of the game. You're going to have to now sell us that you are something other than people who cheat and lose and cheat and then start winning. So you cheat more and then you win, and then you try to reward the people who cheated because they couldn't win in a forthcoming honest style and fashion.
Cheating, lying, and then playing the victim.
That's all you ever were.
That's what you're going to have to prove. You're going to have to prove to America that you're something other than a lying, cheating fuck, because that's what Michigan appears to be now.
Yeah, and I think Michigan had the opportunity to separate themselves as an institution from Jim, but now that you've chosen to go down this route,
and you tried to have him be the honorary captain of a game.
And he said, oh, no, I can't do that because, Chargers.
So you are still embracing this guy.
Come on, man.
You're going to have to show us that you're something other than those liars and those cheaters. Because I can tell you, as I told you then, I will tell you now, people inside those walls do not agree with that. People inside on that faculty, the staff, the advisors, the people that make Michigan the university that it is, because it is a quality institution. Those people don't want Jim Harbaugh back on campus. The true academic elites. Do you really think that those people wanted a University of Michigan law grad, a football alumni, to hear your temporary restraining order case? Because I was told, and we talked about it on the show, that those people did not want that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, we've heard it time and time again, whether it's Michigan or other, issues at universities over the last 18 months, that academia, doesn't give a damn about, winning football games or winning per se for the sake of winning. All they want is for the school to be represented properly. And Michigan, that's the shame in the whole thing. Michigan as a university, had the opportunity to get away from this and say, you know what? Yes, it did happen at our university, but we were unaware at the highest levels of of Michigan's leadership as a school. We were unaware of what Jim and everyone was doing. So now that we are aware, let's go ahead and get this handled.
And in the comment section, here's the question I have for you, and I think it's incredibly important. Do you believe that Michigan would have won a national championship, would have beat the Ohio State or any other major program? Do they win those games if Connor Stallions doesn't do what Connor Stallions did? I don't believe that they would have, because as I have said plainly on the show, Jim Harbaugh did not do it before then. He did not develop talent. He did not have the schematics, the football program in totality to beat Ohio State, to beat the biggest and the baddest. And then all of a sudden you got their signs. And this is what I believe happened. You got their signs. You knew what play they were calling. All of a sudden you knew how to tackle and be in the right gap and in the right flat. And I don't believe they win a national championship without those signals.
Without the edge you were given.
And you may say, well, hey, Marty, they didn't know the plays. But what is the product of having the intel for a year and a half, let's say, on the field? If you are the best linebacker on that team, the best corner, the best defensive lineman, specifically on defense, because I think defense won them that championship. Well, it changes you as a football player. It builds confidence. It builds tenacity. Your balls expand.
Yes.
You play with courage, determination.
Because you don't have to worry about being wrong.
And so when that information stops flowing towards you, that doesn't mean you lose confidence. That doesn't mean your balls all of a sudden shrink. You're a different football player because you had the confidence in the edge. It made them a better football team. They don't win those games without that sign stealing information guy on the sideline at Central Michigan, allegedly.
Sign stealer guy.
Completely agree, man. And it's I think when you got to the college football playoff, like when you played, Bama, like I don't think sign stealing is why you won that game. I think Bama's lack of execution. I think there were a lot of things that led to you winning that game. But through the regular season, the Ohio State games, yes, absolutely, positively, 100%. They're on tape. You can clearly see Stallions is on the sideline right next to the play callers. He's giving them the intel. They feed it to the defense. The defense adjusts, and all of a sudden they're right in the right spot. I mean, it's plain as day. And I think you're going to see that bear out through this process with the NCAA. You're going to see that they're going to show you, hey, we have video evidence of what you're doing. So I just don't think you're getting away from it.
Yeah. I think that is. I think
you're still going to fight.
Very true. Mike Smith, guys. I was told nothing would happen to Michigan, and Cheeseburger Gate was nothing. Dude, those kids needed to eat.
They were hungry.
Jim loves the kids.
Doesn't get any more red, white, and blue than that.
I mean, he loves the kids so much, it's surprising he didn't coach at Penn State.
Yeah.
But that's a different show. My point is, these kids were hungry.
Right.
They needed cheeseburgers. Jimmy wasn't recruiting. He was helping. He was loving and caring. Jimmy would never commit a violation. These were just cheeseburgers for hungry kids. What are you talking about?
Y'all reading all this cap ass shit.
I can't believe you would say something to the contrary. Come on, the Penn State line. Are you kidding me? Off the top of my head? Dude. Are you kidding me?
The cock.
Justin Bemis, the entire veteran coaching staff at Michigan is forever tarnished with this. No dignity or integrity left at all. Totally agree. Roche, hello. I think OSU and others have cheated as well in the past. They just didn't get caught. But again, it's what I always say. How do you know they cheated in the past? Oh, I don't. How do I know Michigan cheated? Well, the evidence is overwhelming, and Connor Stallions is stupid.
Yeah.
So he used a public Venmo account, and I know how we know. The people he sent to stadiums, they did interviews. Oh, I know how they know. Yeah, publicly available, cloud account. Oh, I know how they know. Because University of Michigan fucking fired the guy.
Oh.
That's how we know he cheated. Everybody, in all likelihood, I don't mean to be a cynic, everybody's cheating.
Mm-hmm.
At that level of competition in cash, everybody's cheating. But how flagrantly arrogant are you that you don't even use a Venmo account like Patricia Jones? You put it in your own name.
Kayshawn Booty 007.
How stupid are you? And Michigan was so brazen about it. Yes. Brandon Butler, hello. It's a plain as Ryan Day, Michigan. It's as plain as Ryan Day, Michigan cheated and benefited from it. And it wasn't just against the good teams in the 12. No, it was not. They beat the hell out of Rutgers. I think that Rutgers game is where it ended. I think, and I was told that they shellacked Rutgers. And I mean, not only did they make the play, then they stomped on his balls.
Yeah.
Like they knew, guy, come on. Are you out of your mind? Sean Schrock. Come on, Monty. Jim's a Michigan man.
Yeah.
He's Captain America. Jim, number 4. He's Jim Harbaugh.
Got to be America's team.
He's got the wings and the shit on his helmet that nobody understands.
Stalwartness.
Bo Schembechler. What about Elvis Gerbach, you prick? I don't know. That's the only other. Tom Brady's a Michigan man.
Yeah.
No, he's not. Nobody at Michigan claims Tom Brady. Because he cheated too, so he probably learned that at Michigan.
Deflategate and stuff.
Softballs, pliable.
Yeah.
Come on. Like, it is so remarkable to me that you have that Michigan fans stand on this guy and they're like, just put the nails through his feet, Monty. You're crucifying him. Jesus Christ incarnate.
And
Jim
kick
Harbaugh.
a person when he's down.
He's a hero. I'm sure he's not. You really is. Yeah.
It's incredible.
Jim Harbaugh's a man of integrity.
Sure.
He makes boys into men.
Where are we at in society today?
Oh, my God.
Sure.
Tanner Plummer. Jim is the real Wolverine. More over Hugh Jackson.
Who's Hugh Jackson?
You mean the football coach? He's Captain Weefence.
Hugh Janus.
I believe you mean Huge Jackman, otherwise known as Preston Stone. I get a laugh out of Michigan fan at this point. It's funny. The immunity clause he wanted was not real. No way Michigan could just ignore NCAA punishment just because they added a clause on his contract.
Yeah.
We're still going to pay you in fall here at Michigan. Oh, Jimmy, don't leave us.
And it sucks.
Oh, God, Jim, come back.
I just try to stand strong.
It's fine. Harbaugh 2024. Yeah, nobody tells the truth. Hugh Jacked Man. That darn autocorrect. You jacked a huge man?
Wow.
Tanner.
Dude,
who are you? Oak State James? I think we all agree, though, that Jim Harbaugh's never coaching in college football.
Yeah, there's no way that ever happens.
I will say, though, did anybody see his quarterbacks back? Justin Herbert. Foot's fully healed. Cannot wait. Sundays. Show me those abs, kid. Let's go.
Should be a good year.
Well, if he wins, unfortunately. I'm just glad the Bears didn't hire him. I mean, yes, we're stuck with Ebersucks, but you know.
But your boy's looking good.
He is looking good. That's it. It's fine. Real quick though. Anybody see Nikki Fresh? You know, who are his 12? Let's see. Nick Saban's 12 teams in the college football playoff. Okay, Texas. Yeah, Liberty. It's got Liberty. Penn State, Pedo State, Ole Miss, LSU, Oregon, Notre Dame, Alabama. He's got the Florida State. What? The Utah Jets? Are you saying that Utah's going to win the Big 12? Nikki Fresh, what do you... Stop it. We all know they're a truck stop conference with planes flying over.
It's shocking.
Are you sure this is... Wait a minute. This can't be right. This has to be fake. Are you sure that's a legitimate graph? Nick Saban would never pick
That's bullshit.
Utah Utes
But it's
to win. Well, I'm looking at this and I'm like, I can't believe it. The mullet is, how? Does he know? Where's SMU and John Stone and Quincy Stone or whatever the fuck the guy's name is? Where is SMU? This can't be real. This is fake, isn't it?
Yeah. Fake
is
news.
This a fake graphic?
It's fake news.
Preston Stone. I don't know why I couldn't remember his name. But where's Oklahoma State on this? You can't tell me he left Oklahoma State out. And Ole Miss, his good friend Lane Kiffin. He picked Utah, Georgia, Florida State, and Ohio State for the byes. And then he's got Liberty. Bless up. Texas is back. By the way, oh yeah, real quick, I got to take the graphic down. Hey, public service announcement, Texas is back. Pedo State, Ole Miss, LSU, Oregon, Notre Dame, and Alabama.
Yeah. Just saying.
Percentage that this is exactly how it plays out.
I think that's not exactly
more or less than 3%.
Less
than 3%.
Yeah.
Utah, I think, is everybody's All-American in the Big 12. And K-State fan, please don't DM me. I don't care. Why are K-State fans so touchy? You disrespect us, Morty.
Because I think they see an opportunity and they want a fair share. They want a fair chance.
You're going to have it on the field.
Respect.
You're going to have it on the field. I'm just telling you. I look at the Utah Jets. They're legit. And it is, I will continue to say it's an indictment on the Big 12. It is an indictment on the Big 12 that the Utah Jets, the 12th team in the country, people are picking them to win the Big 12.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to get a huge look this weekend. Southern Utah.
Dude.
Tell you
they're no SMU, but
they'll do. I mean, Southern Utah is the Thunderbirds, the T-Birds.
Man.
You know, all of us T-Bird fans.
Yeah. The T-Birds.
Baylor at Utah State, at Oak State, the week that shakes off Oak State.
No, that's not the
I'm telling you, it's going to be amazing. I think that is one of the am I putting too much value on Utah at Oak State? No. I think it's one of the games of the year. It is one of the games of the year.
College football playoff implications.
Nikki Fresh picking Utah. Look at that. Buy into the quarters. Can you imagine if we get Utah and Liberty? Because I don't think Texas is. I'm worried about the running game. Now, you're deep and all that stuff. I get it. How many running backs are going to get hurt at Texas this year? Can Preston Stone play running back for Texas? I know he's the best college football player. But I should probably stop with Preston Stone.
Wow.
Pedo State, Ole Miss.
It's a great game.
I can't believe he's got Ole Miss in there. I just cannot believe it.
I mean, you just don't know what you're talking about. That's what it is. You
How
have
can?
no idea.
Did you guys hear that story that Nick Saban hated Lane Kiffin so much? Does anybody like, other than me, because he's my Preston Stone, right?
Right.
Does anybody like Lane Kiffin?
His girlfriend.
I like his girlfriend.
Stay home.
Hey now. Nobody likes Lane Kiffin. I don't think anybody likes Lane Kiffin. I thought it was interesting that is where you get Nick Saban right now.
Mm-hmm.
That he's willing to put him in. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was, and that he anyway.
Ole Miss has to show they can win a big game, man.
Ole Miss does show they have to win. But and their schedule is Ole Miss is, how many teams do you think in the SEC, yes or no, on the following teams as a playoff contender? Because I think it is going to be remarkable. Alabama, yes. Arkansas, no. Auburn, no. Florida, no. Georgia, yes. Kentucky, no. LSU,
you got to throw them in there.
They're on the verge. Okay, so 3. Mississippi State, no. Missouri, yes. Oklahoma, no. Ole Miss, yes. 5. South Carolina, no. Tennessee, yes. 6. Texas A&M, no. Texas, 7. Vandy, obviously, 8. 7 SEC teams.
Yes.
With a legitimate chance at the college football playoff.
The whole stack.
Now, I'll use Ole Miss. Furman, Middle Tennessee, at Wake Forest on the C-Dub. Georgia Southern, 4-0. Kentucky, 5-0. South Carolina, 6-0. At LSU, again, one of the games of the year, October 12th. One of the games of the year. I think they are 7-0 after that game. 7-0. 8-0 Oklahoma, 9-0 Arkansas, 9-1 Georgia, 10-1 Florida, 11-1 Mississippi State. I think Ole Miss goes 11-1. And people will finally stop questioning Lane Train.
Yeah, and then he's got to win in the playoff.
It is going to be really interesting to see. See, guys like James, this is exactly what people say about Lane Kiffin. Great OC, not a good head coach. Well, he's got a massive recruiting class. He's got massive portal. And if they go 11-1, I think this narrative on Lane Train goes away. Yep. Now, you're not wrong today.
But he's got to go 11-1.
Brandon Butler, I haven't liked Lane Train since he was the Raiders coach. Dude is Khaki King 2.0. Lane likes Lane. There is no doubt about that. Bryce Martin, yes, but Texas O-line is still great and Sark is creative. They'll figure it out. Yeah. I think Steve Sarkisian over his career has shown he can have offenses that are lethal in the short passing game because he's always got athletic offensive linemen. That's a great point, Bryce. He's always got guys. Anybody checked out Lane Kiffin's 23-year-old girlfriend? He's got a hot girlfriend?
Macaque.
Why didn't we know that, Jake?
Yeah, I had no idea.
Dude, we've talked about every time he comes up, all I say is, yes, sir. Living on the right side of the line. Michael Pressler. Lane Kiffin is a Josh McDaniel of college football. But is he? If he wins at Ole Miss, that all goes away.
Yep.
Right? I mean, if he goes to the college football playoff, that all goes away.
Yes.
I don't know,
That's how it goes. I mean, you have to win at the highest levels to get away from that.
Giggity. If I was Lane, I'd like Payne too. Have you seen who he is waking up next to? I would like Lane too. Lane robbing the cradle, dude. No, she's 23. I think she's 24 actually. And okay, let me get a picture. Why do I?
Guys, just can't help yourself.
You guys.
I get that. I get it.
I mean, why can't you go the Oak State James route and just go with a quarterback that you... Sally Reichlak. Who cares? Sally Kiffin. Let's see. Where's the pictorium? That's not a great picture of her face, though. Okay, this one will do. Because Lane looks like a complete douchebag in this picture. Let me get this one. This is from the New York Post.
Okay.
Look what a douchebag Lane Kiffin is in this picture. I'm not a good person. I we only hire the best people on this show.
Right.
First of all, Lane, you're a douchebag. Second of all,
yep.
God, no. I mean, she is. Are you? I mean, let me just find the. There's the fish picture right there. Okay, you perverts. That's not what I meant.
Wow, bro. Wow.
Look at this. Look at the quality of that fish. Let me show you something right here.
Can you measure it?
Because this, as good as that picture is, I have up there now. This fish picture of Sally Reichlach. Dude. Any questions?
Cock-a-doodle-doo.
Who wants to go fishing with Lane Kiffin? Sign me up. No,
but I will with your wife.
Any questions?
Nope.
She's an 8. Okay. Okay. Giggity wants to know what fish. Bro. She does look like his daughter.
Yeah.
Oh, look, it's Lane and his daughter. Right? Hey, man, more power to you.
Yeah, whatever you got to do, man.
More power to you. I mean, why are you tying the drawstrings on the hoodie, Lane? Can I'm just asking for a friend. When's the last time you guys tied drawstrings on your hoodie? But it's who Lane is.
Yeah, that's his vibe, man.
It's who Lane is.
Yeah.
And he's bringing in fish. And I say,
good for him.
Good.
Good for him.
The eye patch, go Utes. Okay. Brandon Butler, just keep her away from jujitsu instructor guy. Seriously. Nope. Was that a scratch and sniff picture? That's fine. I bet Mrs. Monty would love to see you go fishing with Lane Train. She would. We've been deep sea fishing together. Didn't end well. Do you know how hard it is to reel the fish in? It's difficult. That's a bow tie, a bolo tie, Monty. I'm okay. Okay. I mean, like Colonel Sanders, like Southern
Sure. Yeah.
hospitality. I don't know. Lane Kiffin's amazing. What Lane Kiffin, you should check Brett Bielema's wife. Okay. Why, D-Rock?
Why?
Now if this is bad, D-Rock, please do not. Please be okay. Whoa. I can't spell ma.
Sound it out.
Bielema. Oh, okay. 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 Really? Really? Okay. Okay.
Not
okay.
too shabby.
Hey, baby. Okay. I mean, wow, she's we don't judge people on their looks on this show. You guys know that.
Unless it's Taylor Swift and then she's an alien.
But, but I mean, that's that's Area 51 stuff.
Right.
Like, what are we even, dude? Brett Bielema is living well. I mean, I mean,
how did we get here, bro?
Lane Kiffin,
dude.
It's Lane Train's fault. I mean, I'm not trying to be, too testosterone filled and stuff, but I need to. Okay, so here's the baseline. Right? This is the baseline.
Here's the deal.
He's got a huge face. Are
people Myron?
But then we upgrade in photo quality to Sui, right?
Yeah.
Then we upgrade.
Yeah.
Okay, she's been lifting. And then presented without comment.
All right. Nice. Hey, that's great, man.
Okay. I mean, D-Rock, you have a point. Are we going to do like the wives and girlfriends of college football coaches now? Nobody I'm not doing this. I'm not looking for rich rods. You cannot bait me. You cannot bait me into looking for Rich Rodriguez's wife, which is the first thing that comes up when you search. Oh, guy.
Come on, dude.
No.
Be better, bro.
How about hell no?
What about Neil Brown?
Neil Brown needs fired. Are you serious, dude? Are you Mike?
Wait, is that a screenshot out of The Sopranos?
Mike, are you out of your mind? Dude, we need to seriously, bro. Guy, this is not even, come on, load. Are you out of your mind? Are you out? The only thing getting teased more than her hair is, never mind. The point is, I mean, okay. A or B? A or A plus? A or no? Well, yes. Hell no. Mike. Alumandursky, who's been a member for 12 months. Go Bills, Bearcats, and Sabres.
Okay.
That picture was actually a good picture of her. Dude. Yes, Roche, the Real Housewives of college football.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
D-Rock won that one. I'm just saying. I don't know. I don't know. All right. The official golf course of the Monty Show is Canyons Golf in Park City, the official golf resort of the Monty Show. People asking now to go up to Canyons. Hey, bro.
Hey, Monty.
You guys, I play terrible golf right now. I'm in that phase of my golf game where everything was going really well, and now I just have. And I shouldn't say I'm playing poorly. Other than my driver, my irons, my wedges, everything else is working fine. The putter, man, if I had a putt, frustrating week of putts, I cannot tell you how many putts have just rimmed off the hole. Other than that, everything else in my golf game's great.
Yeah, man.
Take out the driver, the irons, the wedges, and the putter, and everything else is good.
The cart is good.
Not yesterday. The cart. So we went up and played at Soldier Hollow and got caught in a torrential rainstorm in a cart that quite literally would not go more than 2 miles an hour. It was horrendous, which is, again, why I tell you, why do I ever play anywhere but Canyons? Canyons Golf, the official golf club of the Monty Show, resort-style golf in a beautiful setting at Park City Mountain Resort. It's really difficult to beat it, you guys. I tell you every day on the show how much I love the fairways, the beautiful vistas, and the elevated tee boxes, the soft, accepting greens that are undulated, and yes, they are challenging. But there is nothing better than playing golf, looking at wildlife. I love the fact you see deer and moose. I love the fact that we see foxes and coyotes up at Canyons Golf. It's a beautiful place to play golf, and there's nothing better than playing 18 holes and then getting a world-class meal at the Village at Canyons. Do a stay and play up at Canyons. You can stay right in the Village at world-class resorts. They always have the best accommodations. You have that. Everything from the Waldorf Astoria to the building with the I can't remember. Anyway, they have all kinds of great accommodations there. It is awesome. It is what makes Canyons Golf so special.
Yeah.
Hook it up online. Book your online tee times. Canyons Golf. Tell them you heard about it on the Monty Show. The official golf resort of the Monty Show is Canyons Golf. Mike Smith, if we go to Canyons Golf, can we get a free pair of gloves and some dude wipes? Dude wipes are amazing.
Yes, they are.
Mike Smith, just block him. Your life will be much better not dealing with fools. What are you talking about? I don't know what you mean. All right. Can you guys imagine your life without cash? Very interesting studies saying that people do not want to use cash anymore. Now, I've told you this on the show before. I almost never carry cash. I actually have some on me right now.
Cashless.
I usually never do.
Right.
You guys know I'm a big believer. Get a rewards credit card if you're a travel person, whatever your spice of life is. There's a credit card built to give you rewards. I'm an Amex customer. I'm a big believer in my Bonvoy Amex card. I have a Platinum for business. Like, I don't pay cash for anything. I don't use my debit card for anything. And apparently more and more people are going that way. Now, do we have an epidemic of credit card debt in this country? We do. If you run a balance on your credit card, I think you're making a mistake. What I always tell people is use your credit card, pay it off before your statement closes. That's what you should be doing. Once a month, pay off your credit card. It allows you to keep a higher daily average balance in your checking account, but it does require you to have some discipline.
Yeah.
Totally get that. I think if you are using cash, you're crazy. It is, I understand there are certain types of situations. You need a tip of valet. Okay, totally understand it. Those guys carry Venmo now.
Yeah.
I think those, if you're going to play the lottery, you got to pay cash. Totally get it. Other than that, I don't know why casinos are cashless. 9 out of 10 casinos now are cashless.
Cashless.
Which is exactly how it should be. They want you to join their players club, which you can roll up to a table. That's how they issue chips. Totally get that. I don't see the need. Like change, I think change is absolutely ridiculous. When is the last time you had a pocket full of change?
Couldn't tell you.
I could not tell you the last time I had a pocket full of change.
It's gotten to a point where I don't even have like the pile of change in my center console in the car anymore. I mean,
yeah.
I just don't have it.
And if you think about it, what is the absolute necessity in this world? Because now more and more stores, companies do not accept cash. And it's I think one of the good things that came out of the pandemic was that we realized very quickly we don't need to have cash on hand to thrive. And I understand that people tell you, hey, there's going to be a meltdown, and okay, if that happens, I'll agree with you. But I don't believe that there's a scenario where we need to go back to a cash society. Are you comfortable with it?
Yeah, I can't tell you the last time that I, like, as an example, going to an ATM. I never use an ATM. Like, I don't have a reason for it. I mean, there's like, you know, a lot of people be like, oh, well, what about if you have a garage sale? Well, you use Venmo. Everyone's got Venmo.
Everybody's got Venmo.
Everyone's got Venmo, you know, and so it's like this whole thing where we just have ways around not using cash. And, you know, frankly, like at one point, and it was when we were coming out of the pandemic, at one point, I didn't even feel the need to really carry a wallet because all of my cards are on my phone. So you can just tap pay everything on your phone. So we were getting to a point where you didn't even need your card because it was all on your phone. Now, I carry my wallet and I have, you know, my cards and all that, but I know there are a lot of people who just have like their phone and then they've got the ID on the back and that's it. Like a lot of people go that route. So for me, I'm completely comfortable with it, without having to carry a bunch of cash.
I'm also a big believer in locking your credit report. I am a big believer in that. And one of the things I think is very interesting is that, and actually the proper term is freezing your credit report, which I did a couple of weeks ago. There was a massive data breach where all of our Social Security numbers and whatnot were leaked on the dark web. And so one of the main things that you do to combat that is you freeze your report with the 3 major bureaus, because it's a really simple process. It takes about 3 minutes to undo it, and to freeze it and unfreeze it takes about 3 minutes. So if you're going to buy a car and you freeze your credit report, you can't buy that car because they will not issue your credit. So what you have to do is you have to log in before you go to the dealership, unfreeze your credit report, then go buy a car. But what it does is it protects your identity to a certain extent. Now, are there workarounds with that? Sure. But I think you are asking for trouble. If you are somebody that uses your debit card or leaves your credit reports unfrozen, I think you're asking for trouble. It is, in my opinion, a big mistake. And anymore, there was a story last night that I was reading on Drudge Report about how ATM, one-off ATMs are now safer than most grocery stores. So the networks that move money digitally, so when you use your debit card, if that card, like at a gas station, if you are sliding your card at a gas station, I think you're asking to get hacked. If you are not using tap at a gas station, I don't know what you're thinking. And it's why I always say, like, Costco is the safest place to buy gas because their safety measures with their pumps are amazing. It's the only place I would slide my car in a gas pump. If your gas station doesn't have tap, I'm probably not buying gas from you. And usually that's why I go to Costco. But even like if we go to Maverick, they have tap. There's no reason to ever use your debit card in an ATM machine unless it is your bank's ATM. There's no reason to physically insert your credit card of any kind, especially your debit card, into a slide, especially at a gas station.
Yeah.
I just don't know why you would do it.
Well, and I think that furthers the point of responsibly using credit cards to protect yourself. You know, I mean, because credit card companies can just reissue that credit back to you and you're fine. You know, you haven't lost your life savings out of your bank account, let's say, or whatever. So
yeah, I don't disagree. Mike says, I will buy prepaid gas cards or credit cards. You do. Interesting. Roche, phone tap is amazing. All but one of my cards are on my phone. Me too. Fat Jesus, when you add up all of the credit card fees that businesses pay, going cashless just seems to be a huge waste of money. It is expensive for businesses. There's no doubt about that. Most credit card companies charge that business 3%. And it is not cheap. And who's paying for that fee, do you think? We are. The consumer pays for that fee. There's no question about it.
Yep.
But I think it is the cost of doing business. There's so much hacking going on and so many data breaches going on. It's wild. Your ATM machine, Monty, one of my pet hates. I think that I hate going to ATM machines. There's one place I do it. There's one reason I do it. It's to buy lottery tickets. Other than that, I don't ever do it because you can't buy lottery tickets with debit or credit. They only take cash, and it's the only time I do it.
But like when we buy lottery tickets, like you stopped doing the one-off ATM.
I try to go to Wells Fargo.
Yeah,
I try to go to Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
I think it's really dangerous. First, we go off the gold standard. Next, the cash standard. Yes, I'm an old man yelling. Okay. Yeah, I just think that coins have always been a loss leader for the Treasury. Like pennies, dimes, like always a loss leader. But I think it's very interesting that you look at the way society evolves in major events like the pandemic. I think certainly it is. I think it's in the very near future. We will not have nearly as much cash on hand.
Yeah, I don't think that, just generally speaking, there's as much, paper cash sitting around. I think that, banks obviously always try to circulate it through the system. Like there's not, it's very, very rare that someone's got,
Well, I can tell you as a Wells Fargo customer, not all Wells Fargo branches keep cash on hand. I don't know how many people realize that. Not every bank branch has cash on hand.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you'll always be able to walk into a bank and empty your bank account. But where do you want that money wired to is what the first question is going to be. Fat Jesus, you can buy lottery tickets with debit in Arizona. Correct, you can. Not in Wyoming. You can't. Up in Washington, you can buy lottery tickets with debit card. I wish you could. Matt Ritson, Tap my card, gas station, better sliding cards. Don't know some skim cards. Well, I would never slide my... Unless I am on absolute empty, I am not sliding my credit card into a skimmer type. Yeah. I'm not doing it because I just think it's so dangerous. So dangerous. It costs almost 2 cents to mint a penny. Yeah, it's ridiculously expensive. So expensive. I think it'll just be interesting to see where that evolution goes to. Because I think most of us rarely carry or use cash.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just going to continue to head towards more convenience. I mean, that's what it is. I think people just want what's easiest, and that's cards and that's tap pay. And I think that we've seen, like at our local grocery store 2 years ago, they added tap pay to all of their checkout lines. We've seen that happen.
Yeah. Giggity wants to know if Lane Kiffin taps or slides.
Oh, giggity.
I rarely use cash unless it's one-off situational need. I always use tap to pay. Yep.
Cashless.
As a father of 3, I lived in cashless society before it was cool. Yeah, no kidding. Wait until you're a parent. Even drug dealers use tap and go these days.
Bro, did you really just make a street worker joke? Really, dude?
Okay. Just another example of lazy nature of people. What's the lazy nature of people, though?
Not wanting to handle cash.
Right, but I think it's smarter, safer, in the more savvy play. If you can manage your money, there's no reason to use your debit card. There's no reason to use your debit card.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's lazy at all. Capasso, cash is king, but the card is way easier. I don't think cash is king anymore. The biggest issue with cash is small businesses like the cannoli shop that we went to in Boston. Only cash, cannot use a credit card. Well, why do you think that is? Because they don't want to track their income. They want to report what they report, and that's what they're going to report. I think that's why you're probably always going to have cash. But I think those days are going away.
Right.
And I think, again, one of the political issues we always talk about is no tax on tips. Right? Like, I think that's what we're going to start seeing. That I think we are going to... The IRS plays a very interesting role in that, because it used to be all cash businesses were prevalent, and now they're not that prevalent anymore.
Yeah, it's the game people play.
Yeah. Cam, remember when you paid your rent with a money order? When was the last time you guys got a money order? I can't remember the last time. I cannot remember that. Cash rarely stayed in my wallet when the kids were under the roof. Rarely. Mike Smith, I use cash. Don't worry about info being stolen. Do not worry if communications are down. Well, there's clear advantages to it. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But now I think you're going to see that fewer and fewer businesses, more and more businesses are going to say, nah, we don't take cash. Major chains, the cannoli shop in Boston will always take cash.
Yeah.
That's just me. A cannoli shop, probably cash only for money laundering. Maybe.
I also think the boom of digital commerce is forwarding this too. I mean, you're not paying cash for something online, obviously.
You're not paying cash for Amazon.
Yeah.
I am back on the Power Crunch bar fad. I'm all about it. Power Crunch, dude. I can't remember the name of the bar my wife used or does eat for some reason, but she has a really good bar. But dude, Power Crunch, I'm all about it. The older generation are still using cash under the mattress methods. Could be. Laundromats are tap now. A lot of laundromats have tap in them, and a lot of them have quarter machines still. Absolutely, because it's expensive. The other thing you got to remember, like our grocery store Harmon's, which I never use tap there.
Really?
Yeah, I should. I don't. It's expensive to convert. There's no doubt about that.
It's just a pain in the ass. I mean, that's what we're talking about. The convenience of not having to count it, like, convert it. Like I shouldn't have to as a business. I remember when I was working in restaurants, you gotta, hey, you gotta be real careful here, little Jimmy. Take the money bag over to the bank and make sure you don't get robbed in the process. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah. Mike says, I'm not sure if it's legal for businesses to refuse cash. It's legal tender. It is absolutely legal for them to operate any way they like to operate. You're going to have trouble with that. I think it's interesting. That's all I'll say. I think it's a very interesting trend. I think as the baby boomers phase out, those, what are we, Gen X, I guess, millennials, Gen Y, like, I think the younger crowd is there's a lot of people who don't ever. How many times did you say, hey, I'm going out with friends. Can I get $20, Dad? Like, how many? All the time. Hey, can I get $5 to go down to Scotty's?
Now, you know what that is now? Hey, Mom or Dad, I'm going out with friends. Can you just transfer me $20? Apple Pay, Apple Transfer, or Venmo, or whatever.
Or you have a card on your phone. Now, I know a lot of people whose kids have a card on their phone that they transfer their allowance to. Remember allowances?
Yeah.
What about the Tooth Fairy? Oh, out of business.
Oh, well, little Jimmy, tooth came out of your face last night. Well, we transferred $5 into the account.
Check your Venmo, bud.
Come on.
It got a lot more expensive to be the Tooth Fairy.
Come on.
The Monty Show is always presented by The Advocates, theadvocates.com, the best injury attorneys in the business, you guys. Motorcycles, bicycles, please be careful. Please be careful. There's going to be a lot more on the road. The weather's getting cooler in some places, warmer in other. You guys check the weather in New York today. It's going to be blistering hot. Weather's cooling off. More bicycles, more motorcycles. Getting those last rides in. Please give them space. If the worst happens, you get hurt at work today, theadvocates.com. Chat with an injury attorney live online 24/7, 365, and it won't cost you a dime. Until tomorrow, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.